horribly disruptive. Okay. All right, here we go. So we are going to now do this backwards. So again, this is not on your quiz. This is not on your quiz. The graphing that we just did, that's what you're going to have to do, and we'll practice another one here in a second. But now we are going to write our own equation for the picture that looks like this. Okay. All right, so we're gonna write an equation for this. So y equals. What can we start with? Is there anything we know about this equation?
X plus 2.
Okay, so it starts down, okay, ends down. So whatever the power is, it's gonna be even, right? Because that's what things do. What else can you tell me? Can you give me any idea what these factors might be? What might I have in the parentheses here as I write my equation? X plus 2, X minus 1, and perfect. Everybody agree with that? Now also, if you're looking carefully at your picture, what's going on here?
And bouncing.
It's bouncing, which means that factor is squared. We all agree with that?
Yes.
Now that can't be the answer though. Because why?
There's
It's down,
So
which
you
means
need
there must be a number out here in front, and that number must be negative. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I have no idea what that number is. I'm gonna call it n. You can call it whatever you want, doesn't matter. Give it a variable name.
Y.
The parentheses came from these points, right guys? Always. The parentheses are the x dots. Did you notice you had this other point though that was given? That point is an x and a y. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take that y and put it here in my equation. And I'm gonna take that x and put it in my equation every time I see an x. So I started by building my parentheses that came from these dots. Then I looked at my picture carefully, saw a bounce, put a squared on that one. Now I'm trying to figure out what this number is. In a problem we did earlier, it was a -2, and another problem was like a -1/3. I don't know what that number is. It could be anything. I'm figuring it out. And I'm figuring it out by plugging in that other random point they gave me. So 2 equals n times what? 0 plus 2? 0 minus 1 squared, and 0 minus 3. Now that is all multiplication. So 2 times 1 times -3 is -6.
Plus.
So what is my n? My n is 2 over -6, which is -1/3. So what is my final answer? It's this right here with -1/3 put out in front of it. That is your final answer. Can you get me started on the second one? What are the parentheses gonna look like for problem B? You.
X plus 4.
Thank you. X
Plus 2.
plus 2, and it's picture. Is there any squaring in this one? Will any of those parentheses be squared? No, because what do I not have? Bounce. No bounce, no squares. Okay? So the only thing missing is, I don't know what that number is. There's always a number out in front. If you don't see it, it's a 1. But there's always some number out there in front. We have to figure out what it is. So how are we gonna do that? Plug in what? What's my random point this time?
-3.
0, -3. Remember, only the dots on the x-axis give you the parentheses. That other point, we're just gonna plug in. So -3 equals n times 0 plus 4, 0 plus 2, 0 minus 3. So 4 times 2 times -3. That's all multiply. So what is 4 times 2?
8.
8 times -3, -24. That reduces to 1/8. So there's the answer. It's what you wrote originally, but now instead of an n, you're going to put in 1/8. Does it make sense that that 1/8 is positive?
Yes.
Does that fit the picture? Yeah, because n cubed, I think x cubed, is gonna start down, and that's where this picture starts. All right, 2 more and we'll be ready to review a little bit. So 2 more. Here we go. Build my parentheses for problem C. What will they be? X. Are you looking at problem C? So I'll have x plus 2. And x minus 3 for sure, right? But you see a dot at the origin? How do I put that in there? I can put x minus 0, or if I want, I can just put a plain x. That's up to you. X minus 0 is just x. So if you'd rather just put x, you can do that. Now look at the picture carefully. Do I have any bouncing going on?
Yes.
I have a bounce here,
0, 0.
and I have a bounce here, and that's all. So now my equation is done, except for, I don't know what that number is. Okay, so here we go. What number, or what point am I plugging in this time?
2.
2, 2?
Yep.
So 2 plus 2, 2 minus 3. So I happen to be plugging in 2 for y and 2 for x. Willow, you with me, Angel? Okay. All right, here we go. What's 2 plus 2?
4.
Squared.
16.
2 minus 3.
1.
2 minus 0.
2.
Squared.
4.
So that's all multiply, so 2 equals, multiply all that together, negative 64n. So n equals 2 over negative 64, which is negative 1/32. Negative 1 over 32. Does it make sense that I got a negative number that time? Yes, because, look guys, I have 5 x's. That's odd, right? Odd should start down and end up, but this picture doesn't. This picture starts up and ends down, which means it's upside down of how it's supposed to be. All right, the last one, they didn't draw a picture. The zeros are the dots. These are the zeros are the x-intercepts. So if those are the zeros, what are my factors? These are the dots. So what are my factors? X plus 1.
X minus 2, X minus 2.
Perfect. Without a picture, I don't know if any of those are squared. Would you agree with that? I would need a picture. I don't have it, so I'm just gonna go with these. Huh? No, we're doing this one right here. Okay? But I do know that there's a missing number out there. And the point that I'm gonna use is 1, 10. The curve contains that point. These are the dots. But as it squiggles around, it goes through that point. So here we go. X and Y. So 10, 1 plus 1, 1 minus 2, and 1 minus 4. Is everybody okay with what I'm doing? One plus 1, 1 minus 2, 1 minus 4. Multiply it all together, and it looks like I'm going to get what? 6n? Check my arithmetic, is that right?
Yep.
So dividing by 6,
5.
5 over 3, and there's your answer. Put 5/3 in there and write down your equation. That is it. All right, leave those notes out. We're going to continue on in 2.4. But first, we're gonna make sure you're all clear on what your quiz is gonna cover tomorrow. Do you remember, did the pre-quiz have 3 problems on it? And 4? Do you remember what they were? Look at that and see anything missing there.
I think this was it.
Miss Ford, I think it was two of the.
Oh, there were
birth
2,
certificates.
like the first one,
Yeah.
we'll do an extra one,
Oh, yeah.
sure. We'll do an extra one. All right. All right, number 1.
Yeah, it was 2 in the middle one. It was 2 and number 2s.
2 number 2s?
Yeah.
Alright.
It was inverse and direct.
Okay, we'll do direct then too, yeah, okay, good, thank you for that. All right, so we're gonna find the vertex axis symmetry and direction of opening of this guy. So, every section that we cover, there are these little things you gotta remember. What do we have to remember to do this problem? There's a little formula. X equals negative b over 2a. So we gotta remember x equals negative b over 2a. If you remember that, then you're gonna have your axis of symmetry done. Your axis of symmetry is going to be, remember, A, B, and then C, but we don't need it. So negative B will be
Negative
8. No.
X.
B is negative 8. So the opposite of that, the
Is
negative of negative 8 is 8 over 2A. So your axis of symmetry is x equals 2. And your formula says x equals, you're gonna write x equals 2. Okay, x equals 2. Then we know that our vertex, that always matches that. Those are always the same. So x is 2. How do we find y?
You plug in.
We plug in 2. So we plug in 2. We're gonna have 2 squared, which is 4, minus 16 plus 3, so 8 minus 16 plus 3, what is that? Negative 5? So you need to make sure you're getting 2 negative 5 for your vertex. And then which way does it open? That's easy, look at it, it opens up. The only way it's not going to open up is if that number is negative, okay? Alright. 2 is a variation problem. And when you have a variation problem, there are only 2 possibilities. So this says volume varies inversely as pressure. So my 2 quantities in this problem are volume and pressure. The formula that I use is always going to be V equals KP or V equals K over A. Those are the 2 options, the only options. Which one is it for this problem?
The bottom.
The bottom one, because this is an inverse relationship and this is a direct relationship. So this is an inverse problem, the word is there, inverse. When pressure is 10, pressure is 10, the volume is 60. So what does that tell you about K? K is gonna be what? 600? Are we gonna multiply both sides by 10?
Yep.
So now I know K is 600. Well, that wasn't the question, but I'm gonna use it. Find the volume when the pressure is 16.
37.5.
So again, I came back to my equation. I don't know the volume. I know K is 600 and P is 16. So then I can take out my calculator. And 600 divided by 16, 37 and a half.
Yep.
All right, now, let me just stop for a second. Suppose I told you that height varies directly as weight. You can write this down if you want, but you don't have to. We're gonna do a direct variation now. So suppose it says height varies directly as weight. If height is 5 feet, weight is 100. I'm making this up. Find weight if height is 60. All right, so what does this tell me? This tells me that my 2 variables are height and weight. So it's either going to be H equals KW or H equals K over W. which one is it? KW. So there is your equation that you are going to use. Right? So what does this say? If the height is 5, the weight is 100. That's my formula. Height's 5, weight is 100. So I'll divide by 100. And K is going to equal what? Is it going to be 0.05 or 1/20th? You can use 1/20th or you can use 0.05. 5 divided by 100. Find the weight. Find the weight when the height is 6. So again, my formula, the height's 6. This is 1/20th, and that's what I got. Times by 20, it looks like the weight would be 120. So, remember for this problem, you have to remember x equals negative b over 2a. For these kind of problems, you have to remember that it's always going to be h equals kw or h equals k over w. And then after that, it's just a matter of plugging numbers in. Direct, inverse. All right, and then finally, this is what we talked about today. This is pretty easy. First of all, you're going to put your dots on, and you're going to put them where?
-3.
-1, -3, and +3. Okay? And then you have to know something. You have to know where to start. Do I start drawing down here, or do I start drawing up here? Well, how do we figure that out? We count up our x's. How many x's does this problem have? 5. 5 is odd, right? 5 is odd. Odd starts down and ends up. But not this one, because there's a negative in front, so it's gonna start up and end down. So I'm gonna start up here. Now what happens when I hit that dot? Now remember, that dot came from this factor, right? Guys? Is that a squared factor?
No.
So I'm gonna go right through. And I'm gonna connect to my next dot. Now that dot came from this factor. That one is squared. So I'm gonna bounce off. Right?
Yep.
Connect to my next dot, which is also squared. So it's gonna bounce off and head down. All right? So we feel like we're ready for that quiz tomorrow?
Yep.
All right. And we're a little behind the other classes, so we're gonna get started with 2.4. Which connects directly to 2.3, so this, you won't be confused, nothing's gonna get screwed up. We're gonna sketch this, just like you're gonna do on tomorrow's quiz. However, this looks different. What do all of our practice problems look like? They looked, well, I didn't write it down, but they looked like this, didn't they? And that was important because these parentheses are what told me where to put my dots to get the picture started, right? So what do if I don't have those? I find them. So I want you to look at that problem, and if I said to you, you have to factor that, what would you do?
Group.
Group them. Would you group it?
Yep.
So what can I take out of these right here?
X squared.
X squared. Pay attention, guys, you gotta be able to do this. Not for the quiz, but you definitely need it for your test, which will be coming up. So what if I take out an x squared? What will I be left with just in those first two terms?
X minus 4.
X minus 4, beautiful. Now, what can I take out of these two terms?
1.
A negative 1?
Yep.
If that's a negative right there, just go ahead and pull the negative out. So it's gonna be negative 1, and I'm gonna write a 1 there. And if I take a negative 1 out of a negative x, that's gonna leave me with x. And if I take a negative 1 out of a positive 4, it's gonna leave me with a negative 4. If you are ever concerned about, did I do that right? Distribute this back. Negative 1 times x, negative 1 times negative 4. Perfect. Now, what do we notice? Joyfully, we notice that we have a match. Do I put a squared on that? No. No, write down the match. And then write down everything else, which is x squared minus 1. And what do we know about x squared minus 1? It factors x plus 1, x minus 1. Now, the goal of the problem was to graph it. So all this we've done is just to get ready to sketch. But now it's ready, huh? This could be a quiz, this could be a quiz question tomorrow. How do you sketch that? First thing you do is put 4, negative 1, positive 1. Okay. Then what do? Count up your x's. Why do I have to count up my x's? So I know where to start. So how many x's do I have? 3. I start down, end up. No negative, so I'm good. And when I say negative, I mean no negative out here, right? That's the negative that matters. It's not there. So I'm gonna start down. Do I have any bouncing in this problem? Nope, just connect the dots. Up and down, connect your dots. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Is it gonna be kind of the same thing? Is this gonna be rinse and repeat here? Yep. So what can I factor out for the first 2? What comes out of there? X squared, perfect. And what will I be left with? X. Take out x squared, it'll be x plus 3. All right, now what? Thank you. And if I take out, remember, we're taking out the negative. So that's gonna leave me with a positive x and a positive 3. And we notice what? We have a common factor. Don't leftovers, x squared minus 4. And what do we know about x squared minus 4? X plus 2. And now you're ready to graph. Come on, hang with me, guys. We're gonna do one more problem after this, then we'll be done. Need everybody hanging in there. You need to be able to graph this tomorrow. This right here. It'll be factored for you. You won't have to do the factoring. But so what do? We're gonna put dots at -3, -2, and 2. Then we're gonna count up our x's, and once again we have 3. Start down. Let's go start down here. Connect all the dots. I'm not worried about bouncing because when I wrote my problem, I noticed that I didn't have any squares up here, right? All right, one more, and we'll be done. What do you want to do with this guy? What?
Take out 2x.
Yeah, I have got drawing 2x squared. I'm so glad you're here today, Leilani. Thank you for participating. If I take out a 2x squared, I get x minus 1. How about here? -8. Now remember, you took out a -8. So that's going to be a positive x and a -1. So there's our common factor. And here's our leftover. What about that? What about that leftover parentheses, guys? Can I do anything with it?
Yes.
Can I take out a 2? And that will leave me with x squared minus 4. And what about x squared minus 4? Here's my 2, x minus 1, x plus 2, x minus 2.
Yep.
Now, I moved that 2 out to the front because it looks weird in the middle. I'm allowed to do that. Last problem, here we go. Where are my dots? At 1, at -2, and at 2.
First down.
This is an x cubed problem. So it's gonna start down. No squares, connect the dots. There we go. Alright, we'll stop there because the next part is going to be very new. Stop there. And 2-3 homework is due on, what's today, Thursday, Monday? 2-3 homework's due Monday, but you do have a quiz tomorrow, so you might want to do it. So for you, due on Monday, but you have a quiz tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's right now. I want pictures. That's